that's okay.
Oh, it's only available on certain servers.
Oh, you need some nitro boost.
Yeah, it's
Um,
available on 3 of my servers.
is Reader
Interesting.
gonna be here?
He said he'd be like 3 minutes late.
Oh yeah, he is class.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, Reader. Okay. A call. Okay. So before we start, I just wanna talk about a few things that were in. We talked a little bit in the theory channel. So you guys need to make we need to make sure that the compositions we choose do what we want them to do. When we're picking hero, so the first step is when we're encountering something new or we're having trouble is kind of determining what our game plan is doing. So you can play any hero in any way. You can play a flanker Widow. You can play a flanker McCree. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but you can do it. And it's important as on an individual level to determine what you need to do as an individual to help your team succeed. And knowing what your job is as an individual will help you better choose which hero to pick. So, for example, I don't know if you guys remember this map, but on the second point you play dive and you play Doom Pharah at the start. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And then you switch the Pharah to a Sombra, but just because you're running a dive comp doesn't mean that Sombra is a good pick. Sombra is not a good pick because you guys are still fairly brawly. Like you guys want to get in the fight and just like fight them out because you want to get in because they're devil shields and do a lot of damage in a short amount of time once you're in. Sombra is mainly about utility and building EMP, and you can do neither of those things. So Sombra's not a good pick. A better pick there, Doom's is a good pick. Would be like Reaper, because once your dive comp goes in and your Reaper's in, then you have like a win condition. You're playing like your goal is to more be a brawly, get in hard dive as opposed to a combo dive, which is what Sombra is better at doing. I'm not saying you can play Sombra like that, but you guys need to think about what you need, and that will help you play better. Number one, most importantly, no matter what composition you're doing, and number two, it will help you make better picks. Um, so when you're playing against double shield, we talked about this a little bit, but you have two options really. You can play to get around the enemy shield, or you can play to basically poke them out. If you want to poke them out, you have to mirror their tank line, and I don't think we're equipped to do that because we don't have a Sigma player. So that leaves one option: get through their shield. And you can get through their shield in a couple of ways. You can get through it with Rhine, or you can get through it with Winston. You can get through it with Orisa too, but it does not seem to be our preference. So once we know that our job is to get through the shield, we're looking. We need to make sure like we do that. So it means things like not taking poke. It means making sure that we all go in and we all come out at the same time. And I think this is one of our weaknesses in adapting to things we haven't seen before. That's a cool view, Eagles.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know, right? I love Nepal for this. It's really cool. Used to be in my
So
background for a while.
Hmm.
that so if you so I think the best way to do it is to say like is to talk about our game plan before the fight. And like after a map where we do poorly on, we should be talking about what should our game plan be, so that we're all on the same page. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Um, should I like go through the list of DPS characters, or I would write it down and like write what they're good at? Would that be helpful?
Um,
It's fine if it's not.
Yeah, maybe coming at it from the other direction. Like, if we're diving, here's what we ought to consider.
But like, there's the issue is just because playing dive tanks doesn't mean like you can play dive tank in many different ways. And I think that's one of it is the thing you guys struggle with, is playing the same comp in different manners. Like, I see it in most of you guys that you guys play your hero a certain way, and when it comes, and you guys are not capable of playing it a different way. And I think our number one challenge is changing that so you can play the same hero in multiple different ways.
Mm.
Because you I think one of the ways you guys struggled with Bash, like, you guys had to play into a Bastion and you guys just looked lost. You guys were playing like too slow and too fast at the same time. It was just kind of, you guys weren't together. You guys were like kind of being a little cautious and then going in all at once. Like, I don't know, like sometimes as a Lucio, I talked with this cat, your job is to peel hard, and sometimes your job is to get really aggressive, and you need to be able to do both. Sometimes as Ryan, you can swing all the time, and sometimes as Ryan, you have to push in and be a shield bot, and you need to be able to do both. Sometimes as Diva, you need to play hard with your Winston, and sometimes as Diva, you need to play hard with your supports, and you need to be able to do both. So I think every time we enter a scrim, I want you guys to say out loud, what is your game plan? What are you doing? And maybe we don't quite have time for each of you individually to say your job to achieve that game plan, but you guys should be thinking it. And like, what is their comp? Make it your job. If they're playing Widow McCree, Cat, you don't need to peel for Eagles. If they're playing Genji Tracer, you're on Eagles 24/7. Some other like side notes. If they're double shield, you can potentially think about playing Moira instead of Ana. Nano is good. It can be hard to get value as Ana because of double shield, but it's gonna sound kind of dumb, but it's kind of true that Moira is one of the few. Her ult goes through shield.
Yeah.
And it can heal through shield and damage through shield in a way that kind of no other support ult can. So something to think about.
I know Mercy's can't damage through shield, but she can heal through them, right? With her ult?
Well, but like, you're not. Why would Mercy's the only reason to play Mercy is to pocket a DPS.
Okay.
Like, you can pocket a tank all you want as Mercy, and you're not gonna. You do 50. Even at 60 heals per second, she couldn't do it.
Okay. Cool.
Rather than think about what characters allow you to go through shield, think about how you should play to go through shield. It's just kind of like a side note that you can run Moira to do it. It wouldn't have solved your guys' problems, probably not. But your win condition is not to change characters so that you can go through shield. Your win condition is to press W and get on top of them. And changing characters, that allows you, that like makes it easier or harder, but it doesn't let you do that, or it doesn't like win. You can play a flanking McCree and get away with it, and like that's a viable strategy. But understanding that that's what you have to do is the important part. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let's look at the VOD now.
Might need to zoom. Oh, there we go. What is this? A map for ants?
And your composition is perfectly fine. only adjustment that I would maybe have you guys make is run maybe Reaper instead of Sim, which is unclear.
5,
This,
4,
this, this composition is
3,
perfectly fine.
2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
Nice, get aggressive. I don't know why you're standing on point now. You're up.
I think the call was we were a little low on resources there for a second.
The objective.
We only wanted to regroup for a second. And we had a good call to move in on that Orisa. So, I mean, should we keep pushing, or?
Oh, watch the fight again. Okay, let's watch the fight again. And watch from Pop's perspective.
Oh. Yeah, my big mouth.
No. Okay, so you have to follow this fight. Pause right now. Okay. So you okay. So you can be aggressive. So go to reader's perspective. How
Much better.
So
1426 shield.
yes. So being aggressive doesn't mean swinging. Being aggressive can mean holding your shield up and pushing, right? So if
Yeah.
you're out here holding your shield up and pushing, that sim is dead. Like you have a sim of your own. You have an Anna, like you have a Zarya. Like that sim is totally free. Part of being aggressive is like knowing like when to be aggressive, but with your shield. And let's continue watching, but from Hobbs' perspective again. What you do, you just do it not fast enough. The other thing is here you're up at least one, maybe two players, and you have bubble coming online. I don't know. One of the things that I put for you in the improvement is you should be calling your resources better, Hobbs. So when you have bubble in 2, that can mean go in. If you say bubble in 6, that means you shouldn't like go in. Both those communications are important.
Mm-hmm.
When you say I have DM, same thing. When you say I don't have DM, that means maybe play a little bit more cautious or I'm peeling. I think we'll see quite a bit here that you guys play disconnected, and reader either thinks he has resources and he doesn't, or I don't know what else it could be actually, but you guys like you're peeling and reader's going in, and reader dies because of it. So it's on both of you, but you can help solve that by communicating it. And like if you feel like we shouldn't be pushing when we're pushing, but saying no bubble, you're effectively voicing your concern, right? Or if you think we should be pushing when we're not pushing, saying I have bubble, that's effectively saying go in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I do let him know the other one, the bubble into a good amount, like when we're in a drag out fight. But you know, most of the time I'm not talking to him about bubbles, so he's kind of in the dark there.
Yeah,
And
I
also,
think if you just called it every single time, that might be better. Because I do sometimes like ask for it and assume you have it, and then I go in thinking it's coming, and then you're like, oh no, I don't have it, and then I'm kind of
Yeah,
in the middle there.
Yeah.
so reader, you should be the one dictating the terms of the fight. When we're pushing in, you should be calling where we're going, where we're pushing, and uh, when you
Yeah. I think a problem I have now is I don't always. I kind of have words that I'll say that I prepare myself. Like I'll be like, "Do you have bubble?" or like, "Give me bubble," and to me that just means push in. But I guess I'm not literally saying
uh,
push it into everyone else.
uh,
And sometimes I don't even say that. Sometimes I just go.
You need to like you should be saying I'm pushing.
Yeah.
Like asking for bubble is an implicit push, but but it takes like you ask for bubble and then Hobbs says he has bubble. That's like 3 seconds or 2 seconds. You're not gonna get back that 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's better to have the proactive bubble calls being like we have it in 1, 2, blah blah blah, and reader saying I'm pushing, I'm going back, and just those simple calls of where you're doing what you're doing is going to help you guys a lot. And if reader says he's pushing, what Hobbs you should say if you're not with him, you should say I'm not with you, because uh it still might be a good idea to push, and it's up to you to decide, reader. But he knows he's not getting any support. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I really want you to take command of our movement, reader. And I want you, Hobbs, to give him the information to make intelligent decisions. Also, 69 charge, lol.
Nice.
Yeah, I will say I had to go back and watch the VOD from I think it was the Tuesday scrimmage. Nimbani, that team that like tried to rotate 3 people around and left 3 people as a choke, and we jumped on the Orisa and like wiped them out. I would have sworn, reader, that you made the call to go in on that, but you just sort of like jumped in on it, and I told people to follow you.
That's a bad habit I have. I kind of
No,
am
you.
not a very
But you had to.
talkative player.
You were perfect. Like that was the perfect idea. That was the perfect decision. Like we rolled them on that fight and made them switch comps.
And even just saying I'm going in, like I get you don't have time to check and double check and all that stuff with the rest of your team. Just say I'm going in, and the rest of your team should be paying attention.
Yeah.
But anything that will help us react seconds like a second or even half a second faster is going to make our play more optimal. And more optimal play is the goal, right?
Mhm.
Okay, let's continue now. We pause here. So we're just taking. We can't go in here because of the Maywell.
Right.
So there is no use to standing here.
At the choke, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Simply like stand on the corner and like when they try to push in, like get the damage off that.
when you need to, wherever you are, you need to be in a position where you're not taking poke, and whenever they try and do their thing, you push into them and you kill them.
Oh, okay. So we play in cover, and then when they try to push, that's when we move to the.
Yes. So if we, can you go to overhead Eagles? I think kind of to the like right this corner right here is fine.
Right here.
Other side. No, other side. So like kind of by X.
Where is X?
So yeah, behind here. And then as soon as they push in, you guys are all on one side, so they can do some Maywall shenanigans, but it won't actually kill you guys.
Right.
And you should be like a little farther back to make sure that they can't do anything Maywall-y. You just say going in 3, 2, 1. Like I don't know how they picked the Moira. You guys picked the Moira probably because she's dumb, but I always say like you shouldn't rely on the enemy team being dumb.
Yeah.
They're also fighting for 5v6 because their sim is still coming back, but like doesn't matter. Your comp should not be trying to outpoke another comp. You're running Doom, for God's sake. It's like the least poke character in the game.
Yeah, it's hard to not have a Ryan and just park him at a choke like that.
You are poking him at the choke. Just it's potential energy instead of kinetic energy. If
Oh shit.
like you're effectively at the choke. I'm sorry for that. That was bad. I could hear the sigh, Eagles. You're effectively, you're effectively controlling the choke. You're just not in. You're just not like. If they push through, they're moving into your space, and that way you control choke, even though you're not physically there.
Yeah, it's like we don't have to be in the choke while they're not in the choke, and we just move there when they get there, so that when they're not in the choke and we are in the choke, they can't get damage on us.
Yes, it's kind of like also cat. When you're looking to peel for Eagles, just being near Eagles, in a way, is peeling for him because you noticed when we looked at Slime's perspective how little they actually tried to dive repel, and that's
Yeah.
because
They
if
did. They knew, like, they can't.
yeah, and I'll say with a high amount of confidence that if Slime had been frontlining, repel would have been doved. But we can continue. So okay, so right here, we are 6 players. They are at best 4. Looks like 5 coming in. So we need to make a decision as a team. I don't know what our comms are, obviously, to either push in hard or not push in. And given that you're up and you're playing Doom and you're playing Ryan, like there's probably no reason not to push in.
Okay.
In general, like why not chase them to spawn if you're up?
I
Taking
know
a
I was
break.
worried about the May, but I see that the May wall is parked in front of my face right now, so it's hardly a dire
Yeah,
threat.
I mean it's definitely something to think about, but you have to worry about the main no matter what you do. So, and if you play together, like you should be able to at least avoid dying to the main. We can continue on. So I think we call like kind of a retreat here.
Meteor strike.
So we like kind of didn't go all in on pushing, and then we got split. We can continue. Let's pause for a moment. Okay, so if they're low ground, we know what to do. We stand behind cover and we rush them. What should we do if they play high ground?
We sit on point because we have Doom.
Okay, so what are you gonna do when they drop?
We have the brawler comp.
So
Fight them there.
okay, so as soon as they drop, we're just gonna rush them.
Depends on who drops. And if they all drop,
If Sim drops, do you rush them?
yeah.
If Sigma drops, do you rush them?
If anybody alone drops, yes.
Okay, what if their entire team drops? Do you rush them?
I wouldn't.
Still yes, because that's our win condition.
Yeah, because we're brawly, right?
Yeah. As soon as they get off high ground, you charge them. Or maybe not literally charge either, but
Although maybe.
yeah, I would be a little cautious about that. But
Yeah.
I don't remember what happens, but I'm guessing you guys get poked to death. Because I know you lose this fight. Let's pause. That Orisa looks kind of juicy, doesn't she?
She's not really alone though, right?
Didn't we establish if all 6 of them are there, you still drop and kill them?
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, I'm okay.
Hash, would this be a good play to go in and boop her out of the shield?
Orisa, no.
No.
If you're looking for people to boop, it would be Sim or May.
Okay, and why?
Because they have high ground over your tanks.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean like why those people. Why in a
Because you,
certain case would I and would I not?
because you, it's not gonna, it's like not gonna happen.
Like, under what circumstances do I do it? I'm sorry.
Do you try and boop Orisa? Orisa, like,
Any hero.
so, okay, so boop them towards your team. When when number one, you're not gonna die doing it. Number two, when it's actually gonna have an impact. So you boop Orisa here. So Orisa she's like behind her shield. So like you boop her, she's in front of her shield, but she just retreats behind her shield. And on top of that, they have Sigma who can also shield him. It's I think the most consistent example is when they are trying to get away. So if we go to don't actually go. If we go to the first fight, if kind of after you had picked two, if you had wall road behind them and then boop them towards you guys, that would have been a good use.
Okay. And against their comp, should I be peeling? Because I don't really know how Sim works in terms of like getting into backline yet.
You should play in. You should be playing in between.
So
you
like
can,
where Hops is right now.
yeah. So that you can peel for either your tanks or your support.
Okay.
So, when your positioning should almost always be between your tanks or your supports.
Unless it's dive.
Even then, like you still want to play farther up from your Ana.
Okay.
So,
what if they're like really disconnected? I'll ask that question when we get to Nepal Sanctum, actually.
okay, play Mercy. Oh no, that's not Sanctum. Okay. Just in general, if you don't know where to be between your Ana and be between your flex support and your tanks, because that allows you to do both things. Right here, you're kind of useless to your tanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can peel for Eagles, and if their sim goes on the flank, you're gonna need to go, or their Meg goes on a flank, you're gonna need to peel for Eagles, but you can't help the tanks, and you need to be able to help both. So always between.
Got it.
Continue. Actually, sorry. Again, Cat. The best time you always want to, if you're gonna go behind them to boot them, you want to do it when they're trying to get out, not when they're trying to get in, because they don't have cooldowns, and it's gonna be easier for you to do it. But also, you don't like when you're pushing in, you're gonna be closer. You're gonna be pushing in kind of with the tanks to give them speed, so that your tanks are already in. Like if you do it in the mid-late fight, your tanks are in, right? So you are a lot less likely to die, where they should be in. Like, and here, like, this person should be so dead. But, but alas, continue. Okay. So your shield is broken, and you have no bubbles, and you got nothing done. Enough said.
What's up?
Your shield is, if we your shield is basically dead. Okay, right at this moment here. If you check, your shield.
633.
Yeah, that's dead. If you check Hobbs, you don't have bubble. You're just using it right now. So you don't have shield, don't have bubbles, like you don't have any resources. I'm surprised. The only resource you have is like beat. So like when you're pushing in here, Cat, don't be afraid to beat aggressively. Same with you, Iggles. Don't be afraid to nano aggressively,
Okay.
especially with the May wall.
Okay.
Think about what they do to a nano line. Nothing. I think the technical term is they are fucked.
Okay.
It's also like important to note Sim does a lot of damage, but she's really squishy, and with 3 swings you can kind of reliably get her out, because that's unnanoed. When Ryan's nanoed, it's 2 swing kill on Sim, and it's very hard to get out for that. But just a side note. No shield, no bubble, no health. We had grab too to make sure that they couldn't reposition.
Yeah.
We didn't have nano, we just built.
Say again?
We didn't have nano, we just built nano.
Oh,
We
okay.
couldn't have pushed with nano, but you guys kind of understand the consequences of being wimps now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my plan going into that was just to hold the choke, but that doesn't work.
No.
Yeah, I remember us being like, yeah, we're gonna hold point. And then we were like, we're gonna hold point until they drop. We're just like, yeah.
Better to die a hero than live as a wimp. Okay, let's pause. Okay. So, I don't know if you guys heard it, but Reader's barrier just broke. So this is kind of like an awkward situation, right? So, you guys got walled in half. Can we go back and look who exactly got walled?
Yep.
Thank you, Eagles.
Mhm.
Best. Okay, so it looks like your Doom got walled, which is basically inconsequential, and your Ana got walled, which is not inconsequential, and your Lucio got walled, which is also not inconsequential. But Lucio can get around the wall. So you have 2 options, right? You can retreat away from Supercharger, or you can push into them without healers. I don't. In this specific circumstance, you can retreat. But if they hadn't fucked up their Mei wall, you couldn't retreat. So that, and I think it's hard to know. So I think the safest option here is to just push into them. Yes, you're down. You're down 1. Screen just went blank from not interacting with it, because your Lucio can wall ride in your and your Doom can, whatever Doomfist does, go in. So the problem here is if you just sit and wait for wall to go down, they will destroy all your resources because they have supercharger up. Your Rhine shield will go down. So that leaves one option, and that one option is to get aggressive and push it. I would say in general, so you can be in 3 different states in a fight. You can be up, you can be even, or you can be down. And not just 5v6, but also like positionally be down. In this circumstance, you guys are positionally down. They have supercharger up. You guys don't know that you can retreat. And when you are down, you have to get more aggressive, take more risk. When you're up, you take less risk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The only way you guys win this fight is to get super aggressive into them. So you have to get super aggressive.
Why would we lose if we just all backed into the room?
It's not that you. That's actually the best call here, but I don't think you guys know that. I think if we go to your guys' perspective, you don't know that you can get back around the wall.
I don't think we know a lot of things.
So you can, I guess you do know that. Eagles could call it.
I think I said scuffed wall.
I think, okay, let me think about this. Because How long does supercharger last?
That's a great question.
It's a while. It's like 12 seconds, I think.
It lasts for 15 seconds. Holy shit.
Okay, so that's
15?
10%.
Yeah.
Yes, that's 10% on the clock. So, okay. I think so. So if you guys know you can get out, you want to get out, but you want to do something useful with that 10 seconds, right? You could rotate to point during those 10 seconds. Like, you could just stand still too. I am not a fan of going up top for your guys' comp because look at the distance you have to go, and look how much cover you have. You have no cover.
I think right side is the best.
What do you mean right side? Like main?
Yeah, and then going around.
Like
Yes.
around
Not
back.
taking poke.
And once you're
yeah,
here,
exactly like that.
if they try and poke you guys can push in much better.
You effectively
Like
have
you
point.
guys, yeah, you have point, and you have, more importantly, you have cover. Like, it's not great cover, but it's better than the cover up there. Yeah, so we can watch you guys get destroyed again, or we can just skip over it. Like, right now we're not doing anything. But like, let's go back a second. Or, I meant pause. I'm so dumb.
I'll just pause it when we get there.
Yeah. So I pause it right here. So you guys push in, and even with the supercharger, despite you losing Ryan, you still get a pick. Like, you guys at the end of the day are still super brawly, even without it. So you guys would have had shield if if you pushed in before supercharger, like if you
If
push in immediate with supercharger. I
okay.
don't know. I'm just like, it's probably best to just not risk it. There's no need for you guys to risk it.
No, I mean I see what you're saying, cause like right, where are we? Like here-ish, where we are like working around the wall. We just kind of hang out.
1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Or actually, never. Doesn't matter. You essentially could go in with maybe 900 shield health instead of 0, which obviously isn't ideal.
But it's better than 0.
I think it's like, if you guys got a full wall off, I think that's what you have to do. But because it's a scuffed, you get out, I think.
But in
But it's just like,
general, if they don't, we don't expect them to scuff their walls.
yes.
Cool.
Just like, also a side note, Hobbs, is when you can continue playing. This fight should be over. I don't know why you guys are fighting it. Once you're down 2. But once Reader dies in this composition, Doom is the main tank, not you.
Okay.
So we basically lose 2 fights for the price of 1 here. Okay, so now we go main. Okay. all their alts. Like,
Yeah, 4 ults.
Uh,
Just hit the button for 'em.
you guys need to. You should use sim alt first. If you had it in to like help you guys get in.
Like a light speed feed here.
Yeah,
Oh, fuck.
yeah. It's definitely a hard feed.
You see me die? Sorry, I was doing homework, but I'm listening.
Yeah, I did.
I had a couple of things to say.
Yeah.
I feel like playing Doom, it's kind of hard when we're like playing poke with Ryan Zarya. I know you touched on that. So
It's really hard.
I don't know how we would.
You go a pair of balls and you go in.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, continue.
Ready for battle.
Herbs, did you hear about the when you're playing
5,
dive against the double shield? Reaper's probably better than Sombra.
1.
Pharaoh's good too.
Yeah,
Round 2.
my
Capture
brain was
the
working. Well,
objective.
that's not an excuse, but I saw Scribble play Sombra, like the map before, and I thought, hey, maybe I could do, I could do just as well, if not better, because I was at a loss yesterday. Like, look at me die right here. So yeah. And then I end up playing Sim. I end up playing Sim on Sanctum, and X is on Doom because I think we were both having trouble.
X is
But
probably the better Doom.
yeah, but he also like plays Sim, like he's our Sim player, and I can play Sim, but I don't know, like when it comes to stuff like that or a comp like that, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. It's always. I would just say it's always better to play something you're comfortable on than what you consider to be correct.
Okay.
And I
So
don't
I
know,
can
like,
play Hanzo in the double shield, like Kappa.
okay, I mean, if you feel enough confidence in your hunter that you can go flank and get kills, yes. But I think your hero pool's bigger than one, so. But yeah, I mean it has its limits, but like, I don't know. Do you play Tracer at all, for example, or?
Yeah.
What's a DPS
Right.
player hero
Yeah.
do you not play?
Probably Mei is actually probably my worst hero. Like no lie.
Okay, so like you probably should stay away from Mei then.
Yeah.
Why don't we just put you on Torb every map?
I mean we could, but it's like it's a lot
It's
of
kind
pressure.
of disgusting.
I feel like I just the hero picks last night. I'm trying to play like as meta as possible, and obviously my hero pool isn't really suited to that. So I was thinking maybe we could incorporate like some ways to play more fair on some maps or more Doom on some maps, or more Hanzo, even though they're not as meta as something like a Mei or a Sim.
So the weird thing about this meta is those picks you just talked about, they are picks because people are playing mirror double shield. So when you're not playing double shield or Orisa, which we basically aren't, all of a sudden a lot more things open up. So Pharah here is actually very good.
Mhm.
I know they switch. At some point they're like double hit scan, but like
Yeah, they switch after this fight.
Yeah.
I don't. I feel like I think you're pretty comfortable on Pharah, and if they're really countering, yeah, sure, switch off Pharah, but it didn't look like it. And
Yeah, I swapped immediately, but I didn't give him time to like actually shoot me out of the sky. I just like swapped.
and
Yeah.
this map's pretty good for Pharah, I think. And on top of that, you're playing with a dive comp, so you have a way to put pressure onto their hit scan. In fact, I would almost go as far to say if you want them on double hit scan, because double hit scan fucking sucks against dive plus Doom.
True.
I don't know, Pharah is the character that people see, like, think that she interacts differently than she actually does. She's not hard countered by hit scan. Hit scan does not hard counter her. just because you're getting destroyed by a Pharaoh doesn't mean that Pharaoh is actually the reason you're losing. And when you go double Widow, double Sniper, it oftentimes makes it worse, not better. And this map I think is pretty good for Pharaoh, right?
Yeah.
So like here, the idea of your comp is you have Pharaoh as kind of your backline pressure, and then you have a hard frontline pressure in your Doom plus your dive. So Pharaoh throws in a direct. You can either do it. Pharaoh throws in directs, and you dive in that location, or wherever you're diving, Pharaoh kind of spams to get the finishing blows, and either one works.
Okay.
Pharaoh's good at providing crossfire.
Yeah, I think from now on, like at the start of each map, I have like heroes in mind that I want to play, that I feel, like I said, aren't really meta, but would work with our comp at least. So I'll be more like, I'll be speaking up more, I guess.
Sounds like a plan. Can we watch that fight back, Nichols?
Yep.
So Widow is split. Unlucky. So we see that Widow is split. So I'm just narrating the fight there.
Okay,
My thought
cool.
process. And Killer, Winston dies.
The objective is now
And, like, you guys are doing what you want to do right now. Can't listen to your comms, but it looks like X is having a lot of trouble. Anna. But you guys do what you want to do. You guys capitalize on split targets, you kill them. Easy clap. Here so let's pause for a second. So let's talk about where we want to position. So there's essentially there's 3.5 places they can come out of. They can come out of main. They can come out of to the far right by coast. That's the half place because they're fucking stupid if they do that, especially against the Pharah. And also like there's no cover. Like this should be so free if they come out that way. And the other two ways are through Mega Room. They can the common way is through Mega Room and then up to the side of point, but they can also go to the main of point. Considering that there's essentially 3 ways, when you guys are positioned where there's also like where X is, they can come through that way. So essentially they can come through main, or they can come through Mega Room, or they can come kind of above. If they come through main, you guys want to have like high ground above them so you can drop onto them. If they come through either of the mega sides, you want to have high ground above them so you can be on top of them. And if they come through above, you want to be in a position where you can contest them and jump out. And what one position allows you to do all of those things. Where you are right now.
Hey,
Well,
we did
not
it, folks.
Cogs.
Ah,
We
fuck
did
me.
something.
So you can have everybody here except for Eagles. Because Eagles doesn't have mobility, so probably don't want him there. But but wherever they come, Herbs can rain rockets, and Cat will be damage boosting Herbs. Wherever they come, Reader can get zaps off. Wherever they come, X can do his thing. Wherever they come, Hobbs can fire from above and DM. Does that make sense? Why you guys want to be up there?
Yeah.
And this should be you can kind of think about trying to generalize this, where you want a position that allows you to get for free onto them as much as possible. If you trade your mobility if you trade boosters and jump, and Farah like can get in position using her cooldown, so I'm not really gonna count it. If you trade Winston jump and Diva boosters for cooldowns for them to get you out of there, like that's well worth it. That's like a pop. Because they're kind of low, you have Forest spamming from above. When they drop, you can jump on them. It just you have lots of options. Continue. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Can we do this in the 75% speed?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I gotta remember what's the. I want to remember the key.
It's a scroll half
Oh,
speed, I
it's
guess. Half
half
to be.
speed. Whatever. Yeah, I just want to watch it a little bit slower. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Nope, don't be sorry. It's a good idea. So you are out.
Oh, 75. Perfect.
It looks like you can only do it when you actually use the keys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is good.
You're up here. Yeah, good. So now you boost out. And then Reader, you go in. You have bubble. So right there, we can rewatch it from Reader's perspective, but I think you just used jump, or you didn't just use jump. Can't. So right there, what happened is you went in Reader, and Hobbs couldn't help you, and you should. The best way to do that is to call that you're going in Reader, and Hobbs, you can be like, I can't help, or no. Probably I can't help.
No.
I think just like I can't help, or like no help, because I think you might have been able to play differently. But I think even on top of that, Hobbs, if you just said I'm peeling, I know you're not peeling. I know it's technically not correct, but for all intents and purposes, you are peeling. You're just getting out.
Right.
I'm out. Something like that, and that would help you make the better decision here. And like on your end, Reader, you can hear Diva's boosters, so you know Hobbs doesn't have fly. Also, like here, it's better to like finally on top of that, if you can help it, it's always better to go in without using jump. I'm pretty sure you used jump to go in.
I don't think I did. I think I jumped out and then stood where I was and waited for them to come in.
Oh, you got the record. No, you didn't stand.
We almost got him out too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would have been saved if you had plenty of time to get out if you had known you were alone.
Yeah. Also, if I just respected the McCree a little more.
Yes, but that's like, yeah. Rip. We can continue. So right now we have 4. But we got a red. So let's go back. Now I'm gonna pick on you, Eagles. Replay viewer is pretty great, I gotta say.
Yeah, it is.
Way better than overhead.
Pause.
Whoops, wrong one.
Okay. So are you guys 6?
Now we are.
We are now that the res came in.
Okay. So if you are 5 or 6, this fight is either winnable or it's I'll use the word stallable, because you have control of point. So what I'm going to recommend is a very specific play, because you have control point.
Okay.
So there's a very good chance you guys manage to sustain through this, especially since they're running double hit scan. So right here you should trance.
Okay. Interesting.
I put in your improvement that I think you need to trance aggressively more.
Okay.
And this is an opportunity to trance aggressively. You have nothing you really need to save it for. Your end goal is to rack up as much time on point So this gets you a while on point. This, I mean, you're gonna build. You probably can build primal. I don't. You're gonna have Valk soon too. There's no guarantee you win, but if you don't trance, I would say you're guaranteed to lose.
Okay.
It's,
So what's like the thought process for deciding to do that? Like you're on the brink of a fight flipping while controlling the point.
on control.
Uh-huh.
If you have a chance to win, if you have a realistic chance to win the point, do it.
Okay.
No, sorry, I meant keep control. If you have control over the point and you have a realistic chance to win the fight,
Uh-huh.
do it.
Okay.
I don't. If you guys are 6 players and you're the other team, do you do it? I don't know. Like, it's magnified by the fact that they don't have anything that punishes your trance.
What do you mean by
So-
that?
So let's say you trance and they have a Genji who has blade.
Oh, okay.
They just blade and kill your team. So trance lasts 8 seconds.
Think so, yeah.
So it lasts 8 seconds. So, if they have a Genji waiting to blade to kill your team, you basically bought your team 8 seconds. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You buying your team more than 8 seconds because they don't have even if when your team survives through trance, even after that, they don't have anything to just insta kill you. So you get 8 seconds, but you also get more than 8 seconds.
Okay.
It's hard. It's, in my opinion, trance is the hardest part of Zenyatta's kit.
There's not much else to his kit, so
Yeah.
pickings are slim. Okay. So you don't think it's worth that much saving for flux or whatever it's called?
Nope.
Okay. Why is that? Because I mean, it does take out 50% of the team of the player's health, base health.
Well, I think like if they flux, you probably trance. But I think like honestly, even if they had blade here, you still trance.
Okay.
I in this circumstance, making sure that you control point with a realistic chance of winning the fight for as long as possible, is more important because you don't know if the you know that if you do not trance, you lose the fight, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know if flux is gonna kill your team. You don't know if blade is gonna kill your team.
Okay, that makes sense.
And like in this circumstances, because you have control of point, and you have a realistic chance of winning the fight, that outweighs any potential ult that they do.
Okay.
Like, even if you trance, and so let's just think about it. If they have blade, and you don't trance, well, they still have blade, and they now have control over point. If you trance, and then they blade after, well, they just use blade, and you just use trance, so you end up in the same situation you were before.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Can continue now.
I'm also glad you didn't mention my excellent rotation.
It happens.
Yeah, I think we drag it out for an. Oof.
So
X 3 kill.
you guys use Valk, Dumal, Valk and Dumal. So who knows, but what would have happened otherwise? But you wouldn't have had to use Valk.
Okay.
I think it's just interesting how Cat decided to ult there and you didn't. I guess that kind of came out of shade.
Nah, I'm fairly defensive with my ult usage, or conservative.
Okay, Primal does not mean you're invincible, reader.
Yeah, I know that was a big feed. A 1500 HP feed.
It's alright. They already had like all their ults anyway.
Quick light speed feed.
Yeah.
It's alright. They had like 4 ults already. It's honestly that's the best
Okay,
time.
but I'm about to do the same thing.
And I'm about to support you through it.
Yeah.
What is it that Hash you always say? It's better to have a dumb plan that everybody does.
Yeah. So like,
This is
Eh.
good.
yeah. Except not everybody did it.
Well, no,
Yes.
but like it means cat and Herms, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. So you guys have Zenyatta, and Zenyatta is not effective up there. So if you can choose to, you don't want to take the fight up there.
Zen is dueling a Lucio too. I think.
Yes,
Oh,
and
it's
Hobbs.
happening?
Hobbs is peeling for Eagles, and Eagles is dueling Lucio. Do you know what SR's team was by chance?
No, they were private.
They had
That-
some
Those
like high elo
scoundrels.
players though.
They're
The
tra-
Achilles kid was GM, I think, so their DPS.
Yeah.
that Lucio was really good.
Oh, he was phenomenal.
They were definitely 3.5 or higher, for sure.
So I watched X's perspective a little bit, and I watched him play Widow on Havana, and their Tracer was very good.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
kind of half-assing it to start, and then he turned it on, and we could not kill him again.
He dodged Widows like he knew exactly when to like sidestep so that X would miss. I don't know if you've ever. There's a famous clip of there's a famous clip of Bunny dueling Taimu in Apex.
Oh, we've seen it. Is this the?
So Bunny
I love that.
Bunny is playing Tracer. See if you can find it.
Yeah, toss that in the VODs.
And Bunny perfectly uses his movement to not get hit by Taimu. And obviously Taimu and Bunny are much better than the players here, but it just I could just tell that the Tracer was good.
We're talking about the one on Dorado.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, did you find it?
No. Oh, I did just now. Yeah.
Share your screen. Share your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hash, the Speedy Men's guy kind of bent me over the whole night. Gave me a good pounding. Not gonna lie. I think I feed a couple of times on this next map because like he just rolls out on me, and well, my positioning's bad, but I felt like he was the better DPS player the whole night.
Do you think you could take some of the things that he did and do it yourself?
Oh my.
Yeah, I think his mechanics were better, but he felt like, I guess he was just a lot less fearless. Like he would just fly at me with no fear, and then I was dead. So, I guess I can take that away from it.
Fearless is like something really weird because you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself, because if you just fly at them and you do not land your shit.
Oh, I've seen this clip.
That was disgusting. Oh my gosh. That fake up the stairs was nasty. Taimu did not deserve to win that fight.
Internet Hulk.
Yup. Sorry, we can continue.
Yeah. That beeping in the background is gonna drive me nuts. Just script the bot readers on much longer.
Well, they'll take points, so. So, just to know, Curbs, I don't think you died to their hit skin once as Farah. Like, besides the first part. Like,
Yeah. Didn't. I felt like my positioning, playing, and cover was pretty well, but I don't know.
I mean, they have 2 hit skins, so what? Like, it's so much harder to play Farah into Farah plus Widow than Widow plus McCree.
Yeah.
See. Go to contest dude, make sure he doesn't do his shit. That's good. Can we go back? This is where like Pharah is really good at. You can just poke out the Doom a little bit.
Yeah, I think I swapped because I thought they were still on double hit scan, but I think Fair would have been really nice here.
Our supports are kind of awkward, but I remember how it was like, it goes.
Well, you guys are just kind of awkward in general.
I think I do switch after this fight.
So, well, okay, so your problem, if we go back a little bit, is because you're playing you have a group of 2 here, and then you have 4, or what was 4 and is now 3. Versus like they're all together. So like X pops, but like it's not good enough because you guys are not together. Could you check herbs for a sec?
Yeah.
Do you know where you're? Did you just throw TP?
It looks like it's being thrown.
He's throwing into the fight.
Okay, so am I correct in saying you got into the fight and then you TP'd out, and now you're kind of out of the fight?
Yeah.
So this is kind of the problem that Sombra has versus Tracer, is that Sombra has like one opportunity to do her thing. So you go in, hopefully you do some damage, and then you leave the fight entirely. If you were Tracer, you would have hit recall, and that meant although you have to play slow because you're Tracer without recall, you can still do things like finish off targets and stuff in a way that Sombra can't. Tracer's much better at a sustained fight, while Sombra's much more explosive with her utility and her EMP. It's like Reaper's kind of so you guys are pushed in with your tanks. If you were Reaper here, I can't believe I'm advocating for maybe playing Reaper, but you can brawl as Reaper, and this devolves in, no matter what way you put it, this fight is going to devolve into a brawl because they have double shield. They have a lot of sturdiness. You're not gonna be able to delete them instantly.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Reaper is the king of brawl. I don't know. I'll maybe back down to that.
I would say not Doomfist?
Doomfist is explosive.
Okay. That's fair.
Reaper wants to get in and just have a long fight in your face. We can continue. Already watched the rest of this fight. So now you're fighting a 3, now 4. Also, the way we can have this lead in the background. The way to heal for Doom, this applies to you Hobbs too, is not to like try and duel him, it's to try and move him.
That's kind of body block, and that got me killed.
Yeah, so you just move him all the fucking over the place, ideally away from your team.
Yeah, of course.
But if you just move him to the side, and if like he's charging up his punch, Hobbs, you can kind of fly in from the side, boop him a little because the hitbox isn't that big.
Right, right.
You can move him up, and then he just like flies over the team, and then.
Yup. They got mutually stunned, so that's a good kill on Doom. Good touch. Guy efficiently call Arissa and delete Arissa. You know where you died, Cat?
I know I had a touch point, and I got low from touching point because I was
Oh yeah, never mind.
the only person who could touch, and I like almost didn't touch. But where I died,
That doesn't matter. Target focus is pretty good here. Hard to. Looks like you guys are kind of better target focused than they are. Hard to tell, honestly. So now you guys in AC9.
Yeah.
Looks like you guys kind of got chaotic, but you're also running two different balls. There's two different balls going around and two different doomfists going around. So I don't know how much. Um, I think that when you can you pause for a second?
Yep.
I have to turn on my brain more. I think that when you guys are running Doom, I think you guys should be playing like when you get into these very chaotic situations, Doom maybe shift a little bit towards Doom as your main tank. And you do that because your balls just like Doom is very explosive, but like once he's in, he's in.
Uh-huh.
And it's if he doesn't get support, he dies. And it's kind of Winston has a lot more options, and especially Ball they can follow Doom better than can Doom follow Winston.
Okay. So
Uh,
so like in a chaotic fight, or just are you saying in general with when we're running like a Doom Winston?
with Ball, you definitely follow Doom, but with Winston, I think you still follow Winston, but like as the fight goes from its initial stage to its mid stage,
Uh-huh.
maybe think about like what Doom is doing because Doom's uses cooldowns. He can't really adapt at all, and especially Diva, who has DM and great finishing and stuff. Uh, just something to think about.
Okay.
2, 1. Round 3.
And they like their
Capture
Bastion.
the objective.
God, there is
I
no
had
good.
some trouble here.
There is some no good place on this map.
Right.
You guys call the next one first.
This is where I had a question about positioning because I felt like Reader and Eagles were so far apart that I couldn't support both.
So before this fight, you need to be in between, and if they have flankers, you're with Eagles. If they don't have flankers, now you can go on to Reader.
So I should go on to Reader since they don't have flankers.
Yeah, but they're just the next fight they get Doom, so you have to be with Eagles.
Yeah. I was
Also-
in the backline a lot.
Also, PogChamp, you guys grew some balls and you win this fight.
Yeah,
They take like the worst positioning.
You guys, okay. This is what I want you guys to do. I mean, we can pause to admire it, but look at you guys on top of them. Like PogChamp, dude. So now they shift off Doom, Bastion to Doom. So okay, so let's pause. So same game plan as like before. You still want to get aggressive onto them. So where do you want to get aggressive onto them?
As they're transitioning the point, or trying to walk the point.
Okay.
Yeah, split their team when they're doing that.
What about when they try and walk through choke? Like way up.
Just
Like-
about anytime they try to move.
Like
On that
here
map?
or this one?
That one.
With our tank line? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I think we entertained it in comms for a second, but like we decided we were dive. We couldn't hold a choke like that.
Well, I
That-
guess if we're adopting the whole, if we adopt the actually go in, like the tanks, like as long as you if you kill something, it doesn't matter what tanks are you're running, right? It's dead.
and it
So
doesn't matter where. Like you want to go in. It doesn't matter where you go in, or okay, you want to go in like in like the best space possible. But if you go in on one of where they're coming in, they can like set up a good crossfire and stuff. When they push through choke, they're all in one location. You have your bubble in one location. You have your DM in one location. You have your Doomfist punch up in one location. Sim can go zap, 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 and they can go die, 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 die.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like you guys have a lot of synergy when they're forced through a small area. You can push on, see what happens, but you guys are just not doing anything. Still not doing anything. Get poked out by Doom. Still not doing anything. So now, commit. And they're like, I think it looks like it's out.
I commit with reader, but
You shouldn't have.
Okay.
So let's watch that back for that specifically.
Do we watch the microphone?
Yeah.
I remember.
Like, what do you actually get done?
I remember. I was trying to. Oh no. Oh no, not this.
This was so annoying. Keep that out.
This was the biggest feat I think I've ever done.
Okay, but let's watch that back from Eagles' perspective, because I think understanding that would be good.
From my perspective.
Yeah. So right now, like, Eagles is trying to do his job, heal everyone.
I go forward right there. No.
And he almost has nano.
So I go in when the whole team dies.
That's a big nade, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
Thanks.
Oh.
And
And he's fucking dead.
so like, however much utility cat you provide to the team, Eagles provides more.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping him alive is more important than feeling him than going in.
Yeah. Okay.
If you need nano, you get nano. If you need nades, like if you were there, you could have either called it or like if you just boop him a little, Doom doesn't do that shit.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was pretty pog from the Doom.
Yeah, that Doom was good. At least that was the one where I didn't whiff completely on my sleep dart.
Team.
That's alright. He ran over us on Havana. And yeah, I don't know. We were still like 5 up when we lost that point. I feel like we could have gotten another at least 10% out of it.
Yep. Whatever. But... So let's pause for a sec. So you guys want to? You still want to brawl it out, like, you still want to go in, do your thing, and one of the best things that if you push in and you nano monkey or you nano Doom, either one works. And then you have DM set up, you have Sim charging up. They're gonna die in that corridor, right? I don't know what you do with nano, but it should be a proactive nano.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Why you would use a proactive nano here?
Here or slightly earlier?
Like right here.
Just because we have to do something to take this space, because we won't be able to really do it without putting in some kind of ults.
Yep.
Okay.
And like nano charges so fast, like
Yeah.
if you don't use it this fight, you would already have like 70 or something. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but it might not, depending on how long the fight is. No wait, are you waiting on someone or just?
We were deciding where we wanted to go. I think we ended up talking about going coast.
I wanted to
Yeah,
I
I
TP
screwed
the
up.
Mega, and then he
And then-
TP'd me.
Ended up
I
working
didn't
out.
want to push through main because I felt like they had better like progression to
You do nano proactively.
Oh, this death.
No, this.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. Like,
What?
if you guys had not tried to take TP and had just done your thing, you would have escaped.
Oh
But-
man.
But more importantly, like more relevantly, you got Rito. You pushed in with Nana, right? How did that go? Went pretty well, right?
Yeah.
And you had Primal too, and you had like a Doom there. Like it was an easy clap. I think Nano Winston is really strong.
Yeah. Especially against a comp that just doesn't have a lot of mobility here.
Yup.
I say that, but I guess Doomfist and Reaper. And
Also, you giving up points. Let's pause. Talk about that. Why it's okay to give up point here. So, you guys.
Because they regrouped?
Yeah. So if you guys win this fight, this map is over, right? If you guys lose this fight slowly, you get to 99%, and then they get control of the point, and like you guys, no matter whether you back up or don't, have one more fight to win. If you guys back up, you're conceding less percentage than if you go in as 5, lose the fight, and then get another fight in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you guys take the fight right now, so when they have 66 and lose, you'll get another fight. You'll get probably 2 fights the other way, but it would be close. Wouldn't be that close actually. But like, you're gonna have more ults because you just took a 5v6. It's just better to fight it now. It's final fight. You can continue. I think like all the other note about this fight is actually kind of. Oh, look at that peeling, dude! Look at that peeling. I don't know if you survived, but
I do.
Can we watch that back from the reader's perspective? Okay, so if we pause right here, Reader could have gotten out like 3 seconds ago, but he didn't know that he was alone because you guys were all peeling.
So is that my call to tell Reader that I'm not going to be able to heal him because I'm flying through the air?
If anyone told Reader that he was alone, if right here, Reader, or like 3 seconds ago, if someone had said you were alone, would you have jumped out?
Probably. Although,
You never know.
yeah, it's me.
But realistically, when you see you're against, I'm gonna be an optimist and say you would have gotten out.
Yeah, probably. But like when I'm shield dancing, I really want to win that fight usually because it's so satisfying to win.
But just to
So
note, when you're against the
sometimes-
Hawk Reaper Orisa, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Out.
That's a good retreat.
Yeah. But you can't do that. You should make it as easy as possible for Reader to do that, right? So if anyone calls Reader you're alone, your main tank probably survives. So I don't want to. We shouldn't attribute blame to anyone specific, but anyone can do that. And the other note is if we go a little farther back. Sorry, Halo.
It's okay.
I mean, I also think I should have jumped out regardless because that's a Reaper and a Hog on me.
If the rest of your team is with you, no.
Okay.
like after your cooldown, and if you go back farther and look at X's, or actually keep from Meteor's perspective. So, okay,
Nice melee.
So- what?
Nice melee.
Yeah, good that you got the combo down. So, I don't think there's much. We should have said like peeling for Doom or something. That would have helped X too. If you're peeling for somebody, you should say something.
How was my beat?
It was good.
Okay. That was such an awkward beat.
It's like the same thing as it was in Fate. You would have lost.
It was awkward to get off, but it worked.
So as promised, we get another fight.
Oh, okay. That's the end of it, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, replays are weird. They end
Okay.
as the last fight is happening.
Well, did we win?
No.
Oh,
No, we only took that one map on Nepal.
yeah.
I feel like I heard this is the first one in a while we've had you in it, not Scribble.
This is the first VOD review we've had ever with me in it.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry.
it's okay. I think that's a good thing because we're only reviewing maps that have been losses, right? So that's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
Good way to look at it.
Yeah, this is the first VOD review with me in it.
We should have said something.
It's,
Equal opportunity roaster.
it's okay.
Okay. I have so in the improvement channel I posted at the beginning kind of stuff for all of you, which I think you guys should focus on working on. I'll try and add it or change it. Thanks for taking notes.